Hey everyone, this is Carbonite, bringing you yet another standard match. Today we're going to be continuing with that set 10 content, because on the left we do have Riku playing his Astroea Masques deck, same build as the last video, as you can clearly see with that critical trigger starter. And on the right we do have Darren playing his favorite deck, Drajeweled. So it looks like we are going to be starting off the match with a little bit of a rush, calling out that Ram soul charging 1. I believe we actually soul charged a critical trigger, so that was pretty good. Just swinging the Vanguard into a defensive trigger, which is not going to pass, as we are going to be seeing here. Looks like we discarded 2 Drajewels for the ride deck. Just going to be swinging with that Jewel Needle, hitting into a critical trigger, giving the critical to the Jewel Needle, obviously the power to that Jewel Core, which is actually hitting for a very nice number. That 23 is a excellent number to have, because that means that it is actually a 20k guard instead of a 15k guard, which most people are not going to commit. So we do see Ryuki already going to 3 on that grade 2 turn, which is definitely not where you want to be at any point in the match, really, or especially at this point in the match. Going to be soul charging 2, actually hitting a critical trigger off of it, enabling us to draw 1 off of the ride deck skill, and then actually soul blasting 3 to use the Ram skill and draw 1 card, using that Dragon Tree Wrench to counterblast 1, soul blast 1, and add the mask to our hand. Whew, I think we're finally caught up. So I guess I can take this time to talk about how good Ram actually is in the Astroea deck, just because as we're seeing with that, what is it, Key something? I always forget its name. Anyways, just the fact that you can easily just soul charge from drop means that Ram has like so much utility, as we're seeing there. Key Speak, its name is Key Speak. I always remember the name of cards like 15 seconds after I try to. But anyways, we are actually clapping back a little bit of our own, pushing the opponent to 3 ourselves, and actually balancing things out. So we're tied at 3-3 going into our first grade 3 turn. Going to be soul charging actually a PG, but obviously we do have those 3 different grades in the soul, so we're going to be drawing that card. Looks like we're going to be committing some cards to the board, starting off with that Swirler, soul charging a critical trigger. Obviously the Swirler is going to be getting an extra 5k, and we do still have that Drajewel skill, which is going to enable us to pump up that Swirler by another 10k. Obviously we probably don't want to go for the Masques this turn. We do see a copy of it in the hand, and we did also soul charge a Masques during the last turn, because obviously if we do it right now, we will not be getting that Persona Ride power. Although theoretically we could do it for the extra crit, and we could just like counterblast 1 and retire the board, because we do have a pretty big board, and it would kind of disable our opponent's ability to really rush a little bit more, kind of just like take a bunch of their pieces off board. But looks like we're not going to do that. Actually using the Drajewel skill, soul charging 2 triggers, meaning that we don't actually get to even draw a card. Activating that Masques, maybe not the best choice, because we could always just use it for discard fodder. And like I keep saying, Mask, when you play it, if you're not going to be using the skill right away, is kind of a neg 1, especially in Drajewel, where you're not really playing that many search targets. So kind of a little bit of a neg there. We still do have the Swirler, which is at 23 already. Looks like we're going to be calling out the counter charger. Just going to be swinging here, not calling any rack gores. Just going to be swinging the Vanguard, using the skill to put the opponent to 1. So this is definitely quite a bit of a threatening turn. Looks like we're trying to double intercept, but kind of forgetting that we're at 1. So this is just 5001, which is not enough to guard. That is a 2001, which means that is a 1 to pass. So looks like we have to figure out what we're going to be committing, because that is actually one of the cards we rarely see. It is the new heals from set 8. Going to be hitting a 2 to pass and actually getting absolutely nothing on that drive check. Going to be swinging with, I believe we swing with that unit next, because it is not only the counter charger, but it is also a 12k attacker. Swinging at the Key Speak, it looks like. Going to be guarding for a 15k 25, swinging a 23 at the Key Speak. Definitely a difficult choice there. I mean, it is a very good attacker. It's a 15k attacker, and it gets to 25 when you're on Persona Ride, obviously, which we might be doing this turn with the effect of Masques, as we're going to be seeing it come down here. So, and that was also just a 15k guard, so not really that bad. Here we are seeing the Mask actually proc, and the power of actually playing those Mask Searchers, where you actually, the biggest benefit of to it is not really just that you have a whole bunch of extra copies of Mask in your deck, but you do also have the ability to hit at other targets off of the Mask's skill. But we are seeing the Guggenram skill here after we use the grade 2 skill to counterboss 1 and put 2 triggers from the drop zone into the soul, using the Guggenram once again in order to Soul Blast 1 or Soul Blast 3 and draw another card, and then calling out another Key Speak, and then just putting those 2 triggers that we Soul Blasted out back into the soul, meaning that our Unica's skill is going to be pretty live here. So swinging the Unica, actually Soul Blasting 3 critical triggers out here, spreading out the 5k across the board, as well as being able to retire, getting a drive +1, and what's the last skill? Oh, it gets critical +1. So obviously we're going to be hitting it with a PG, hitting it to a draw trigger, and then a critical trigger, and lastly, that Masks that I believe we were missing going into this turn. As we see, we didn't actually go for the Mask skill to Persona Ride or Superior Ride the Unica Mask, which is definitely not a bad play, because Unica herself is a little bit better than Biko, and we're still swinging for really big numbers. Hitting into that OT there, kind of just making not a great situation, meaning that we can't hit OT, and we realistically are not really in a good situation, because I think we only have 2 cards left in hand with this. Looks like we are activating another Mask, actually hitting it off this time, so we do get to add that Drajeweled Mask to our hand. However, things are definitely not really looking our way, considering how we only have 2 cards in hand. We can do our Mask play and we will draw another one, but in all honesty, it's not really looking that good. I'm just kind of thinking, like, if we didn't play the Mask last turn, we would have been able to discard it off PG, and I think we would have been able to save that Guggenram, so maybe we would have a little bit more of a board. But it looks like we are using the Drajeweled skill, so charging a Swirler and a critical trigger there, so we do at least get to draw a card, so kind of recuperating some of the advantage that we've been losing. Looks like we are going to be using that Masks skill to Superior Persona Ride into the Drajeweled Masks. Calling down a Swirler, very nice option. Definitely a really good attacker going into this turn. Going to be using the Drajeweled Mask skill to banish the other copy of Drajeweled from the drop zone and put 2 units into the soul. Looks like we're opting to go for 2 grade 2 units, I suppose. But honestly, I'd say that's at least one good thing I can say about Drajeweled, where it basically fuels itself. You don't really have to worry about soul charging the right things or, you know, playing around with it. But you actually do get to put exactly what you want from the drop zone into the soul. So whatever you need, it's pretty good. I think that honestly, I've been considering toying around with Drajeweled Masks myself, and I wonder if there's some utility in using that ability to put more things into the soul from the drop zone to like call things out of your soul, like maybe with the grade 1 Drajeweled Wrench, or with the order card that we got in set 10 where it allows you to call something from your soul. But I don't know, maybe there's something there, but I'd have to test it out for myself. But anyways, we are seeing the Drajeweled gonna be hit with a PG, drive checking into 2 more blanks, and this Swirler I believe is at 2333 with the Persona Ride. I could be mistaken, because I think we saw, oh no, it's just 23. Oh, I think it's because we drew it. Oh yeah, I think I remember. We drew the Swirler off of the Drajeweled skill, so it didn't actually get to see those other 2 those other 2 soul charges. Gonna be hitting it with a 25-point guard. So it looks like we are almost making the mistake of riding the Biko from hand, which is definitely not what you want to do, because you actually do not get to Persona Ride if you use the skill. If you just normal ride it, you do actually have to use the Mask skill to Persona Ride. But we're going to be using that here, getting off that Persona Ride, drawing that card, and looks like we might be hurting a little bit for attackers in this situation, considering moving that Guggenram up. We can see quite a few triggers in the hand from what we can see. You're going to be using the Biko skill, the Astroea Masques, to bind the copy of the Unica and actually pop that Swirler and get drive +1. Looks like we are actually calling down a copy of Persona Ride along with that Wrench in order to just be our attackers for this turn. Going to be swinging the Biko. I believe we might not actually have enough soul to proc the skill here. So I think we only have, we only have the 2 soul. So we're not going to be able to do that restand, which is probably why we're swinging the Vanguard first. But we still do have that triple drive, and the opponent is at 4. So if you hit a critical trigger here, we will actually be able to close things out. Hitting to a heal trigger, not what we wanted to see, but still getting that triple drive, which is definitely I would say that the triple drive is really a good part of the original Unica deck, where you get a lot of advantage even though you're committing a lot of cards from hand. But just having that triple drive every single turn really does kind of like make the deck somewhat viable. But as we see here, the opponent was pushed to 5 and we had one last attack, and for some reason we decided not to swing, even though we probably would have won it with that attack. That is just Ryuki showing off a little bit of BM there, just being disrespectful to the opponents. Honestly, I don't even know what to say. But I guess the match is continuing because Ryuki wanted us to have a video that was longer than 10 minutes. If you go through the channel and look through pretty much every single video that Ryuki's been featured in, most of them do not go past 10 minutes because he always just stacks the shit out of his opponents. But here we're going to see him making a deliberate attempt to not do that. But anyways, we do call it the Rocket Gore, so we can manage somewhat of an attack, swinging the Drajeweled, I believe, with the extra crit. I think I missed the part where we banished the other Drajeweled, but we definitely do have another copy in the drop zone that we discarded for Rydek all the way back then. Just going to be swinging with the Counterblast 1, putting the opponent's Vanguard to 1, and I believe we should be counterblasting 1 in order to restand that Rockgore. Actually, oh yeah, we actually also do have to retire 2 units, counterblasting the 1 to stand the Rockgore, opting to retire the Wrench just because it's an attacker, as well as that grade 1 because it's kind of the biggest threat, I guess. Hitting into a draw trigger, gonna be PGing that attack with the Elementaria, actually putting it in the same little zone as the other copy of Unica, because that is actually where it goes, interestingly enough. I don't know, I always joke about like how big is our remove from play pile going to end up being. We're gonna have our bind zone, we're gonna have our remove from play pile, we're gonna have a drop zone, we're gonna have deck damage zone. But as we do see here, we've got 3 cards in there with the Unica being removed in order to give our Vanguard an extra drive. Actually still do not have enough soul, so we are just going to be swinging with triple drive, hitting for a 2 to pass there. Not going to be hitting any triggers whatsoever there. And looks like we are continuing with the BM and deciding just to pass, even though we could theoretically just swing with the other units and at least get a couple cards out of hand, because Darren is at, as we can see his hand here, very much suffering with a hand full of nothing but triggers. Not even being able to Persona Ride means that even if you were to call a full column of those triggers, the best you could hope for is swinging at the rear guard. And then unfortunately, this is a 20k rear guard, meaning that you can't even hit it with a column of 5k triggers. But looks like we're going to have to call out the best that we can do, removing from play that last copy of Drajeweled from the drop zone, and then putting 2 more cards into the soul, meaning that we can actually use the skill. Just soul blasting the 5, counter blasting the 1, hitting a PG immediately, drive checking 1, a heal trigger. So it looks like if we take another damage next turn, we can't actually use Drajeweld's skill yet again. And it looks like we're healing out that secret rare Drajeweled Masques, Elementaria, meaning that we have a little bit more survivability, swinging that grade 2 for 22. Such a great number. But in all honesty, that extra 2k does matter a little bit, because your opponent is put at 1 and not at 0 like a delete would be. So actually hitting that means that it's the difference between a 10k shield and a 15k shield. So it matters a little bit, but it's still kind of pathetic. I mean, literally if you had given it plus 1k more, it would have been infinitely better, because, you know, it would actually be able to hit the Vanguard and grade 3 units. But looks like we are just going to be taking it, and then using the skill to retire itself and countercharge 1. So starting off with, I believe it was a Persona Ride that I kind of missed. I guess I don't have the animation there, But calling out that grade 1 that we saw on the drive check, which is actually our top deck checker. So going to be swinging that. What is that guy called? I don't know. He's like a Manticore or something for 25 at the Vanguard. This is going to be calling for a 15k shield, which we do, as we saw from the hand, have plenty of. So looks like Ryuki might finally be willing to end the suffering here. Oh, I believe I forgot the Persona Ride power, so that is correct. I believe that should have been 35 instead of 25. Going to be swinging the grade 1 in the back. Gets an extra 2k, meaning that this attack is not 20. I believe it should be 38 with the Persona Ride, but you know, it is what it is. I think I just missed it in the editing, but gonna be finally using the Biko's skill to counterblast 1, Soul Blast 3, bind all the critical triggers. I don't believe we are actually able to bind anymore, so we're just gonna have the 3, which is the worst kind of place to be, because you only get 5k, because she only gives an extra 5k for every 2 triggers in the bind zone, and we did not bind another copy of Unica, so we don't actually have the triple drive, so it's just gonna be 2 drives there, swinging the other Biko, the rear guard that we called all that time ago, just having to guard it with 2 cards. Looks like we have, what is that, 4 cards left in deck. Gonna be taking the attack from the Manticore, so that means we can totally use Drajeweled skill this turn, but absolutely nothing else. So we do also only have 2 cards left in hand, so we're just gonna call out both of them, opting probably not to Persona Ride. I mean, you could, but like, you have 4 cards in hand. I mean, this is kind of your last turn. PGing the Vanguard yet again, drive checking 1 into a heal trigger that really does not matter, considering we only have 1 turn left. Getting the power to, I don't really remember, getting that next Rocky Gore. I think that's the 3rd one we've seen. Swing it at the Vanguard. Trying to intercept, but that is a 22 and you are at 1. So you are going to have to commit a full 15? Was that 15? I don't know. We might have miscalculated that, but swinging 23 at the Vanguard, just guarding with the entire hand for 30. In order to block that last attack. So this is just going to be final turn. We only have 2 cards left in deck, so not really much we can do here. If we take a single damage, we're not going to be able to do anything. So swinging 21 at the Vanguard, guarding for a 1 to pass. Going to drive check 1, and it is, oh, actually guarding not for a 1 to pass, guarding for, let's see, if we guard drive check 1, drive check 2, over trigger. So kind of just putting even more salt in that wound, damage checking those last 2 cards, the last Regor as well as the last original Drajeweled. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed all of the BM from Ryuki. And I've got a couple bloopers for you to watch. Basically Darren just raging at how bad his deck is. Anyways, I'll see you guys.
Oh my god, this hand is dog shit. I don't even get to draw. Surely, I'm talking it up. He pulls a rich. This is the worst deck in this format, I swear to god. This is the worst, this is actually the worst deck, dude. I'm playing a Diva tomorrow. Who would have known?
Yeah, 1 week.
Yeah?
No, 20, 25.
Yeah?
Yen?
Yeah. I'm gonna lose the BM. I just want this game over with, dude. No guard.
First check. Second check. Heal. I don't heal. Okay, here. This is a third check. Pass.
Really?
You're a piece of shit. It could have been 0. It couldn't have been 0.
It's the league too powerful for standard.
Pass.
Oh my god! Why? Why do you torment this man?
Ryan, I thought our game was bad. What is his hand? What is his hand? Well, these are G numbers. In D.
But unfortunately, like, oh, that, you know what? On top of my Xbox, that works. It's hard to.
That's at the bottom.